Well, that game did not exactly go the way that we were all planning, or at least the way we were all hoping. But the way that it is, it's time to move on to week 3, and we got a whole lot of other things to talk about tonight. It is Wednesday night. I am Watch UK99, and we are live. And well, welcome to New York Sports WickerMedia. It is Wednesday Night Live. I'm Watch UK99. Thank you as always for taking the time to watch these videos. So we are here and we are ready to get this show underway. Let's take a look and see who's here. I think we're having a few issues here on the tech side. Just want to make sure everybody can hear me. Is the audio working? Hey G, I see you're here. Hello, good to see you. Let's try something here. Okay, yeah, I can see the comments. Yep, just want to make sure we're up and running. Everything is going smoothly here because I can't see the clock that I usually see when it lets me know how long the show's been going. Okay, just want to make sure everything was cool. All right, so we're going to get into some stats about the New York Jets tonight. Particularly, we're going to talk about this offensive line because let's be honest, they deserve to be talked about and maybe ranted about a little bit. I've already done a fair share of ranting on this team from my video from Sunday night. Got most of the anger out. That's why I'm glad I do these shows Wednesday, because it's a good time for us to turn the page. It's time to look forward, but we have to take a pretty good assessment of where this team is. I mean, for crying out loud, I got a brand new Jet shirt that I won in a raffle on Sunday. I like the old airplane logo, but man, oh man, this team makes it frustrating sometimes. But we're going to get into the Jets. We're going to get into football in a few minutes. But first, let's get going with a little bit of 3 and out. First, I'm going to talk a little bit of hockey in the NHL. So Mike Babcock, head coach of the Columbus Blue Jackets, he has resigned after 78 days, 0 games played, and 1 iPhone scandal. He signed a 2-year deal with $4 million per season. What happened? He's gone after 78 days. What's going on? Well, he came into Columbus with a reputation for kind of mentally getting on his players, mentally messing with their minds. Some even called it mental abuse. It is what it is. Probably one of his most infamous moments, he requested a private meeting with then-rookie Mitch Marner, excellent player, and Babcock had Marner rank all of his teammates by work ethic. Then he shared the list with the players at the bottom of the list. Not such a good idea. All right. This time he asks Blue Jackets captain Boone Jenner to show him the cell phone camera roll that he had. And then Babcock proceeded to display those photos on his office wall via AirPlay. Kind of weird. Now, Babcock and Jenner both released statements through the Blue Jackets on Tuesday, and they explained that it was about relationship building. Babcock asked to see images of Jenner's family, which he said he was happy to share. But with Babcock having a very questionable reputation at this point, the NHL Players Association looked into it. He was ousted on Sunday. Columbus, I guess, was hoping that after 4 years out of the league, enough time had passed where Babcock could be, have a fresh start in the league. It clearly wasn't enough time. It actually feels a little bit like Carlos Beltran as manager of the Mets, where he was ousted before he even had a chance to manage a game for the team. Man, oh man. So Babcock is out. Now, I do have one thing to say here about baseball, about the Tampa Bay Rays. It looks like they will be getting a new stadium for 2028, and it's going to be in St. Petersburg. It's going to be a 30,000-seat dome stadium, estimated to cost over $1.2 billion, with the team picking up at least half of the bill. And that pretty much kills the idea of the Rays moving to a Montreal, a Nashville, Portland, Oregon, Oklahoma City, Charlotte, Raleigh, Durham, take your pick. Now, this team has been good for a long time. They have finished 500 or better 6 straight seasons, won 2 AL pennants in their history. Hopefully now they will have a stadium that reflects the team, and the fans will respond in turn and actually go to the ballpark instead of the mess that is Tropicana Field. You know, WWE is putting the Royal Rumble at Tropicana Field next January. Now, if WWE can make Tropicana Field look good, that would be about as impressive as it gets. You know, hey, they made MetLife Stadium look good. They made the Citrus Bowl look good. Let's see what they could do at the Trop in about four or 5 months or so. All right, that's 2. Number 3, going to get into a little bit of football here. Saquon Barkley is out 3 to 4 weeks with an ankle sprain. He has already been confirmed out for the Thursday night game in San Francisco, well, in Santa Clara, but still against the 49ers. The next 4 Giants games are at San Francisco, home against Seattle, at Miami, at Buffalo. So, of course, Barkley would have to miss Miami and Buffalo, right? Or at least not be in maximum health for them. So in his absence, the Giants are going to turn to who? Well, there's Matt Breida, who's had 3 carries this season, 28 years old. Brian Daboll coached him in Buffalo for a little bit. Then you've got Gary Brightwell, who has 1 carry, 6th-round pick in 2021. And in 3 seasons, Brightwell has rushed for 150 yards on 33 carries, can catch the ball out of the backfield a little bit, caught 8 passes for 51 yards. Oh boy. I'll tell you, by the way, with the Giants, I'll tell you this right now. The Giants have allowed 68 points this year and are yet to get their first sack. A defense that is coached by Wink Martindale has not had a sack in 2 games. That is amazing. And here's another stat about for anybody who's a Giants fan that might be watching. People want to knock Kirk Cousins? Try this stat. Over the course of his career in primetime games, Daniel Jones has a record of 1-10. 1-10, which includes that 40-0 loss to the Cowboys in week 1. I don't know about you, but in my survivor pool, I'm taking the 49ers this week. Okay, so that's it for the little bit of 3 and out tonight. And now you know what we got to do. We got to talk a little JETS. Let's And I got quite a few things to say about this team. And what I want to get into right now, and again, I hope the audio is coming through as normal for everybody. Hey, feel free to say hi down there in the chat. I do see Hank G is here, but yeah, feel free to say hello. Let you know that you're here. But I want to talk a little bit about this offensive line. I think this is the biggest problem right now with the team. You know, I see a lot of lazy takes out there on social media. I hear it on the radio. I see it on television about what a problem Zach Wilson is. The Jets need to call Minnesota right now and do whatever it takes to get Kirk Cousins in. Lazy. If you think that this just changing the quarterback is going to fix the issues with this offensive line, you're crazy. You're absolutely crazy. That is not what this is about. Zach Wilson did what he could with what he had to work with. And, you know, was he great? No, he wasn't. But is he getting better? I personally believe that he is. Quick hello to David D. Good to see you, my friend. Thank you very much for stopping by. I sure appreciate it. But I look at the stats on this offensive line, and I got some things that I want to talk about. In fact, I've even created a slide or 2 that we're going to put on the screen in just a moment because I don't want you to just hear my voice. I want you to see this for yourself. Okay, I like to do the visuals, give you some sound effects, try to give you some different things that I could do without getting a copyright flag. You know, just so it's not my voice the entire time, my velvety voice that you all tune in for. But we look at the stats on Sunday with pressures allowed. Connor McGovern allowed 5 pressures. Dwayne Brown allowed 4 pressures officially. I felt it was about 40 pressures, but the official stats say 4. Elijah Vera Tucker allowed 2. Laken Tomlinson and Mekhi Becton allowed 1 each. Now let's do something here. I'm going to blow this up a little bit. So we're going to look at the, actually, no, I'm going to go back to pass block win rate first. We're going to look at the pass block win rate and then the run block win rate for each of the Jets offensive linemen and where they rank overall in the NFL. Okay, so if we look at the pass block win rate, which is something you could find on the ESPN Next Gen Stats, put as much or as little stock in this as you want. No judgment either way. but it is pretty hard to evaluate offensive linemen. So, let's just go with this for the time being. Hank G with the question: do you think Timmon could contribute somewhere on this offensive line? I absolutely do. I would be happy to plug him in at guard. The biggest issue I would have right now is his snapping. His shotgun snaps have been very erratic. I think that's one reason he has not been playing yet. But I would at least be willing to slide him in at guard. I would definitely be willing to do that. But let's break these linemen down a little bit more because, you hear all these different combinations of offensive linemen the Jets could potentially put together. I'm not ready for a complete overhaul after one horrific week. I'd say a bad week and then a horrific week, albeit against maybe the best pressure defense in all of football. But, hey, we have seen some bad offensive line over the years. This is just the latest. I will preach on it, my friend, Brother Vervain. Amen. I am here to preach on it. Hey, guys, remember, this is a franchise that has had the likes of Wayne Hunter, Colin Baxter. There have been so many names that have been lost to the annals of football history that we probably can't even remember anymore. But let's be honest. The Jets have had some horrifically bad offensive lines, like going back to the mid-'90s. It seems like the Jets' offensive line is either fantastic or sucks. It's like no middle ground, right? No middle ground whatsoever. So this is another thing. For the people who talk about the idea of ground and pound, the Jets need to play these games like they did when Rex Ryan was coaching. Well, that's a great idea. If you have the offensive line who can block. This line hasn't shown that they can block yet. Now, again, let's be fair. They have not had a lot of time to work together. I didn't like that Dwayne Brown sat the whole preseason, but that comes back to where football is nowadays, guys. These guys don't play the preseason, and that's why more and more the first couple of weeks, these teams tend to be super, super sloppy. If I was a coach, I would be practicing these guys a little bit more with pads on because you got to be ready to go week one. When you've only got 17 games, every single game matters. It all matters. And I just think that the less they play in the preseason, the sloppier they're going to be at the beginning of the regular season. And the Jets' offensive line, to me, is a very good example of that. Because think about it. Remember when we were dreading the idea of Billy Turner or Max Mitchell playing, guys like that? Hey, I would plug Tippmann in. I would plug Wes Schweitzer in. I would put Schweitzer in a guard, move AVT to right tackle. I'm not saying I'd do it immediately, but if I see the same kind of performance anywhere near the same kind of performance on Sunday that we saw last week against Dallas, wholesale changes will be needed. You shuffle the deck. I don't care. This cannot keep going on. When you have a defense that is potentially excellent, even though they weren't this past Sunday, but when you have a defense that is potentially that good, a bad offensive line can derail the whole team because you can't run the ball, you can't protect the quarterback, and you can't complete passes. Okay? But let's look at these blocking win rates. First, with the pass block win rate. Left tackle Dwayne Brown has a 63% pass block win rate. That is 68 out of 68 qualified tackles in the NFL. Dead freaking last. Dead last. At left guard, we got Laken Tomlinson, 81% win rate. That is 66 out of 69 guards. Unbelievable. Stealing money, Laken Tomlinson, you are. Stealing money. Connor McGovern. Hey, I'm glad the Jets brought him back for cheap. Aren't we glad? I honestly, I think I would have Jets mess calling that win rate. Blame ESPN. Don't blame me for this. Don't shoot the messenger, man. These are stats that were on ESPN. Breaking it all down. That's it. Again, put as much or as little stock in this as you want, but we're trying to find some sort of metric to evaluate the offensive line. And to be honest with you, I think PFF most of the time is a joke. Remember, that's the same website that said Greg Van Roten had a better year than Elijah Vera Tucker one time. So please, and if you have a better alternative, you're more than welcome to send it my way, and I'll look into it, my friend. I will. Connor McGovern, 78%, 32nd out of 32 centers. Oh, my God. Elijah Vera Tucker, well, there's a little bit of hope. Mediocrity is a goal here, apparently. 90% win rate, 36 out of 69 guards, right smack in the middle. And Mekhi Becton, see, this is the reason why I don't trust Mekhi Becton at left tackle yet. 73% win rate, 63 out of 68 tackles. And we want to put him on the left side in place of Dwayne Brown? I don't know, man. I don't know how much I trust that. Maybe he wants the responsibility. Maybe he can handle it. But I don't know. If I felt the left guard was that much better, next to him as a pass blocker, I'd feel more confident. But right now, I mean, the improvement is there, but it's not exactly enormous. You're going 63% to 73%. You could do it if you want, but it's not what I would call a surefire upgrade. So that's pass block win rate. Now let's talk about the run block win rate, because one thing that I think a lot of us have felt is this was an offensive line that had better run blockers for the most part than pass blockers, right? Let's look. Let's check it out. The run block win rate. Now this one, I got to be honest with you, this one's a little more surprising to me. It rates Dwayne Brown at a 72% win rate. That's 38th out of 68. I personally don't have a lot of confidence in Dwayne Brown as a run blocker. He couldn't do it last year. Left guard, this is where Tomlinson is doing well. 86% win rate. That's 2nd out of 69 qualified guards. So Tomlinson right now is like a one-dimensional guard. He has shown he has the ability to run block successfully. It's the pass blocking where he has been horrific. Okay? Quick comment from Vervain I want to point out. I keep Mackay at right tackle and play Billy Turner at left tackle if Brown continues to struggle. I don't have a lot of confidence in Billy Turner, my friend, but yeah, I mean, it's either Turner or it's Becton. And you want to keep moving Becton. I mean, let's put it this way, Vervain. Would you rather have Turner at left tackle and Becton at right tackle? Or how about we move Becton to left tackle and then you could plug in a Max Mitchell at right tackle, or you could shift AVT outside the right tackle? Now, I'll be honest with you, I am not keen on continuing to move Vera Tucker around. I don't love the idea. I do think he will be at left guard next season, and I think Tomlinson will be jettisoned. I do think that'll be the case, but I think I like the idea of putting Schweitzer in. I think Schweitzer is a pretty good guard. I would like that idea. Mitchell, I don't know how much confidence I have, but I got to say, what I saw with Billy Turner in the preseason, I was not inspired by what I saw. So I'm actually a little more open to the idea of Schweitzer in at right guard. That's my thought. Or you could put Tittman in at right guard. Now, I would wonder about Joe Tittman, where he's more suited to play. I don't think he's going in at center yet, but I could see him at left guard or right guard, depending on where he might fit better. All right. So, yeah, Brown is ranked 38th out of 68 qualified tackles and run block win rate. Tomlinson is 2nd out of 69 guards. Connor McGovern doing pretty well, 9th out of 32 in run block win rate. See, here's what's a little messed up to me here, because you look at AVT and Becton, and they are ranked very, very low. To me, that just doesn't make a whole lot of sense, because I think of AVT and Becton as better run blockers than I do pass blockers. But we know the Jets really did not use a whole lot of runs to the right on Sunday. And how many times, guys, have you heard me talk about this over and over? I want to see the Jets run the ball to the right side of the field. Behind McGovern, behind Vera Tucker, behind Becton, Jeremy Rucker, throw him in, throw in Nick Bawden, and you have a line, you have a wall that can open up some holes for the run game. It could really, really work. That's not what we saw. And I'm going to get into the game plan in just 1 second. But yeah, so what we're seeing here is that the run block win rate is working much better than the pass block win rate. I'm going to slide back to the last one. I mean, my gosh, all of these guys are at the very bottom of their ranking, except McGovern and Vera Tucker in pass block win rate. I mean, it is just disturbing. But man, I can't even look at this anymore. Yeah, I'm going to put myself back up on this. Oh my God. Now, I know one of the things with the offensive line, this is where they were counting on Aaron Rodgers and his experience to sort of nullify those issues up front, right? Because then that makes life easier for the offensive line, because Rodgers can recognize the defense, the pressure, and he has that quick release, as opposed to Zach Wilson. I mean, for crying out loud, my grandmother has a faster throwing time than Aaron Rodgers does. Oh my God, than Zach Wilson does, excuse me. Couple comments. Hank G, the only caveat I see with the stats is they probably played the better defenses these 2 weeks than any other team. I would definitely say that's true, and they got some more good ones coming up with New England, with Philadelphia. Denver's got a pretty decent defense as well. They're very prone to penalties, but they got some good players on that D. So yeah, this is going to be a big one this week. No question about it. No question about it. Vervain, I agree with you. Great minds think alike. I like to think. My faith in Billy Turner is extremely low, but Brown does not exist in the pass protection. Something may need to be done. Again, I think that Brown has he's got to get the rust off, but he did face Micah Parsons, and he's going to make almost anybody look terrible. I think what was so frustrating is it was the same freaking sidestep every single time to beat Brown. It was the same move. I don't know if Brown just didn't know what was coming or he was like overcompensating and he couldn't make that work. But again, the Jets are not going to see Micah Parsons again this season until the Super Bowl. Anyway, but Matthew Judon, we know, has the ability to wreck a game. Now, maybe not on the same level as a Micah Parsons, but the Jets better have a place in mind, and they better have better protection in mind. And that's where it comes back to Nathaniel Hackett. What in the world? Why did we only have Nick Bawden on the field for 2 plays? 2 plays. This is an offensive coordinator who uses blockers, who has used the extra tight end, uses the fullback, going back to his days in Green Bay, going back to when he was a head coach in Denver. And when you have an offensive line that is struggling to pass protect, why aren't you giving them some help? Why, Nathan? What was that game plan? Now, you could tell me, well, it's probably because they were playing catch-up, they were behind, they felt they had to throw the ball a lot more, and they didn't want to run the ball. The most effective thing that the Jets could do with this offense is to run the ball effectively and then do play-action passes based off the run game, catch the defense off balance, throw the ball to Garrett, throw the ball to, say, McCole Hardman down the field, things like that. And that's what they never did during that game, and that's why it was so frustrating. Harlan Abraham, good to see you here. The great Talking Jets with Tico. Definitely go check his channel out and subscribe if you haven't already. Yep, Tico will have some takes you might agree with, have some takes you might disagree with. But I will say this, he definitely thinks out what he says, and he won't say anything. He won't have an opinion without thinking it through. So you always got to give him that. Yeah, was it 5 snaps that Ruckert had? It definitely wasn't enough. So here's the thing with that. The Jets used multiple tight ends on only 10 out of 46 offensive snaps. By the way, out of those 10 snaps, one of them turned out to be their only touchdown of the day. That pass to Garrett Wilson, there were 2 tight ends on the field. So hopefully they took note of that. But yes, Ruckert is a far better blocker than CJ Uzomah was. I never felt Uzomah was this team's best tight end. I felt he was more of a character. I felt he was more like Bart Scott. Not the most effective player, but a guy who has experience, who could rally the team together and say, here's how you do it, that kind of stuff. Okay, but at this point, we're lining up CJ Uzomah wide as a wide receiver, yet McCole Hardman can't get more than 2 snaps a game on the field? I mean, what was this play calling? I don't understand it. So a whole lot of this just didn't make sense. Yeah, everybody's saying hello to one another. You got to love it. We got the great Johnny Jimenez, my fellow Virginia Jets fan. Toast. Hey, by the way, Johnny, we did the premium raffle this past Sunday. This was the shirt that I picked up. We got the old school airplane logo right here. So regular raffle this Sunday, the premium raffle the next Sunday when the Jets play Kansas City. Definitely stop by. We got some really cool Hall of Fame gear with the Virginia Jets fans at AJ Gators. But again, back to this pass protection. So the Jets so far have allowed pressure on 33% of their dropbacks. That is the second highest rate in the NFL, the second worst rate in the NFL. The only team doing worse than that is the San Francisco 49ers. And from the stats that I saw on Sunday, Zach was pressured out of 34 pass plays. He was pressured 21 times. Basically, 2/3 of the time, Zach faced pressure. And what quarterback is going to thrive in that environment? That's why I'm no Zach Truther by any stretch of the imagination, but I try to be fair. Do I think he's going to be the franchise quarterback that we hoped he would be? No, I don't. But by the way, he is looking a little bit better than, say, Justin Fields and Trey Lance. I'm just pointing that out. And that's another thing, too. See, I'm all over the map today. These rumors that came out today about, hey, what if there was a trade for Zach Wilson for Justin Fields? Why in the world would the Jets trade for Justin Fields when they deemed that Wilson was the better option? Why would Joe Douglas ever make that trade? You can tell me both quarterbacks need a fresh start, but it ain't going to be with each other. Wilson for Fields, that is a complete Madden idea. What can we call today? Oh yeah, call-ins. I got to figure out the whole thing with call-ins and what we're going to do if there's a way to make that happen. I know it costs like a little bit of money to take calls, but all right, I will definitely look into that. And if I can get some updates, I'll put out a post on the channel because I want to give you guys updates with any updates that we have. But and by the way, folks, yes, we will be doing trivia tonight, and I'm actually going to have it in written form as well. So we got a trivia slide, so I don't have to, repeat the question or anything like that. So you'll see the trivia right there on your screens. Okay. Now, okay. So I'll give you another number with the stat. You know how many times the Jets have used play action this season in 2 games? 5 times. 5 times. That's it. And to me, when the Jets are a team that should be running the ball first, this is where you go play. This is an offense that could thrive off of play action. You have Garrett Wilson. You have some very talented wide receivers. You have some tight ends who can make a difference. At least one. I still feel Ty Conklin can be very useful in the pass game. I still believe that he can be. But there are times when play action makes sense, where you establish the run and you work the play action off of that. But that is not the way that they're doing this. And when the Jets ran the ball, they were running to the left again and again and again and again and again. And I told you they ran to the right side twice. Their best run blockers are on the right side. And I don't understand why they felt this need to run to the left. How about you play to your own strengths as opposed to figuring out what the other team's weaknesses are and trying to exploit them with your mediocre players? Just doesn't make sense to me. Now, we know there aren't going to be changes to the offensive line this week. I'm okay with that. I think it's a little bit quick to make a change after 2 weeks. But here's the thing. Give Zach Wilson a good 3 to 4 seconds to throw the ball. We've said Zach has the slowest snap-to-throw time in the NFL. About 3.3 seconds, I believe, is where it is. Okay? But they have got to figure out protection first. That has to be the number one job of Coach Carter, of Coach Hackett, of Coach Downing, and Coach Saleh. All of these guys. How are we going to protect number 2? How are we going to do that? And I'll tell you right now, I don't trust Dwayne Brown to block Matthew Judon. I don't trust Mekhi Becton to block Matthew Judon right now. I don't know if I would even trust them to block like a Marty Mapu or whoever the guy is, or Josh Uche or whatever his name is, however you say the names. Okay? So if that means – give me some more 2 tight end sets. I mean, we talked about they were running the 13 quite a few times against Buffalo. They had 3 tight ends on the field, and it seemed to be pretty effective. So let's go back to that. Let's do that. The other team can know what's coming, but still they got to stop it. Man alive. Yeah, they needed a mental day. I needed a freaking mental day after watching that crap on Sunday. Oh, my gosh. But we know Brown and Becton, that's the way it's just going to be for the entire season. They're going to have their off days to rest, and, so be it. But I think that was it. McGovern, Vera Tucker, and I think Thomas, I think they all practiced today. So I think it was the 2 tackles. I don't think it was anything really that different from what I remember. Yeah, I don't think there's anything different there. So. Harlan Abraham, Rooker's a good pass catcher. Well, he's got to show it. They got to give him opportunities. Let's see if he can create some space. Let's see if he can get open. Let's see if he could do that. If he could do that, oh my goodness, that would be amazing. I mean, I'll be honest with you. The Jets were interested in Michael Mayer in the draft. If you go back and watch one Jets drive, they were looking at the possibility of drafting Mayer, and I would have really liked that if they didn't have the 3 tight ends they already have. Because I think Mayer is going to be a very good tight end in this league. I've heard the Mark Bavaro comparison, and whenever I hear a tight end comparison to Bavaro, I'm in. Bavaro was a heck of a player to watch, even if he was a Giant. He was amazing. Yeah, I was always a Bavaro guy, for sure. But then we go to the defense. The fact that CeeDee Lamb, the Jets made him look like Jerry Rice. 11 catches, 143 yards, caught just about every target that went his way. I talked about, if you remember my video about the 5 most indispensable Jets besides Aaron Rodgers, I included Michael Carter II on my list. And this is the reason why I did that, because you saw the fruits of that on Sunday. When MC2 goes out of the game, the Jets did not have a backup slot corner. They put Brandon Echols out there. He said, here, go have fun, do your best in his first game of the season. He tried. He could not do the job, and the Cowboys adjusted accordingly. So Lamb lines up in the slot and posts him like a freaking English muffin. Just it was just comical. But of course, then you hear people say, "Oh, Sauce gave all this up," or "Oh, these quarterbacks. I mean, how good can they be when CeeDee Lamb did all that?" It's because the Cowboys were smart enough to do what the Bills did with Stephon Diggs, line them up all over the field because they know the Jets are not going to adjust. They play these players where they play, and I said, once you get past the top three, and I'll be nice and I'll give you the top four with Echols if he's playing the outside. He's playing on the sidelines. But once you get past those three starters, I'm going to call them, Sauce, DJ, and Michael Carter, you take a major, major hit at corner. And we saw that in the game against Dallas on Sunday when Lamb toasted the Jets. And where was this elite pass rush that made Josh Allen's life hell? You know, I didn't expect the Jets to win this game, but I never thought the defense would no-show the way that they did. I don't care if Will McDonald's active or not. Jermaine Johnson had one pass rush on 29 snaps. Carl Lawson, I didn't notice him. Apparently he was back. I didn't know. Of all people, if you had to guess before the game which Jet would have the one sack for the game, how many of us would have said it would have been Solomon Thomas? You would have picked 11 or 12 guys over him before you got to Solomon Thomas, maybe more, as a matter of fact. But it was Solomon Thomas. You know, Quinn Jefferson and Al Woods did absolutely nothing. And Dak Prescott looked so efficient. He looked like Joe Montana in his prime, completing his first 13 passes. And the thing that bothered me the most, and this has nothing to do with the performance of the offense, nothing at all. The Jets defense could not get off the field on third down. The Cowboys converted 6 of their first 7 third downs. Great defenses get this team off the field. They get the offenses off when they have an opportunity, and all day long, between the missed tackles and the penalties, whether they were bogus or not, you could talk about that too. But again, the missed tackles, things like that have been very overlooked in the analysis, I feel, by a lot of media types. All they want to focus on is Zach, a little bit of the offensive line, but everybody just gets on the quarterback like the other 52 players don't freaking matter. But the missed tackles pissed me off so much, guys. It really, really did, because that is not what I expect from this defense anymore. I expect Mosley to tackle well. I expect Quincy Williams. He looked great week 1. I didn't see the same level of performance in week 2. You know, Sherwood I didn't think was that good. Jordan Whitehead was a little bit better, but, you know, the tackling, even from the corners, I thought was very, very shoddy. And amazingly, when I did my rant video on Sunday, I didn't even mention the Sauce Gardner drop pick 6. I didn't even mention that because there were so many negative plays. They all kind of lumped together. But, yeah, that was a huge swing. No question about it. We got Jin Pak here. Good to see you, man. No game plan and no adjustments by the stubborn coaches. I think they had a game plan. It was just a hideous one. But yeah, no adjustments. There's no argument to be made there. I don't think they changed anything. And you know what? You go back to Todd Bowles, to Adam Gase. I feel like we were saying that about them too. You know, I'll get the one thing I'll give the coaches credit for was the fake punt with Ashton Davis, of course, right? And then what happens after the fake punt? Brees runs for 9 yards on 2nd and 1. They tried throwing the ball, didn't work, and then it was basically then they had a punt right after that. Amazing. Just amazing. So I'll give them credit for getting aggressive on the fake punt. Outside of that, I thought the offensive game plan was completely flawed. I think they were trying to get Zach comfortable, but against Dallas, it was not going to happen. And when Breece Hall only gets 4 touches in a game, regardless of how many points you're down by, you screwed up. Whether could have been a swing pass. Why wouldn't Breece be lined out as wide receiver as opposed to CJ Uzomah? I got more confidence in him doing it. Oh, my gosh. Yeah, we made Chima look good. Yeah, yep. We made that whole offensive line look good. Yep, no doubt about it. No doubt about it. Even when CeeDee Lamb fumbled the ball and the ball is rolling down the field, there's 4 Jets around it. Nope. The Cowboys center comes up with it with one hand. We just got to watch. I don't want it. You take it. Cowboy center, wonk, right in he goes and he dives and he gets the ball. my gosh. It was a very frustrating day. Plus, I had to deal with about 15 or 20 Cowboy fans on the other side of the bar who wouldn't shut the F up. Man. All right, guys. I don't know about you guys. I got to turn the page. I got to move on from the Dallas game. I think we all need to move forward, I think, collectively. So let's look forward right now. Let's talk about some news right now, some current Jets news. Then we'll get into the state of the AFC East. So we'll break down all three teams as well. Take a look at where they are. Johnny Menez, that game is against the Pats is a must-win for the morale of the team. You know, it seems a little crazy to call a Week 3 game a must-win. It is. It absolutely is. Never mind my personal reasons. The fact that this time, in 8 days, I'm going to be in Boston. Okay, you know, going back for homecoming, going to see I'm hoping a lot of friends. I don't know, but man, oh man, I want to be packing some Jet stuff when I go to New England. They lose this game, there ain't going to be a shred of green in my suitcase, guys. Not a single shred. Not a shirt, not a wristband, not a bracelet, not a nothing. If they lose this freaking game, guys, I don't care. I don't care how ugly it is. Win the game, stay healthy. I don't give a damn about style points in this game. I expect an ugly, dirty, mucky game. Probably a little bit of controversy because it wouldn't be Jets Patriots without it. But yeah, whatever it takes. I'm going to get into a stat or two in a little bit on this, but yeah, I think I want to save this. I want to save this one up for a little bit for you. Yeah, because we know it's 14 straight losses, guys. It's not just 14 straight losses. Do you realize that it has been 24 games since the Jets beat the Patriots in regulation? 24 games since the Jets beat the Patriots in regulation. That's like 12 years ago. I think gas was like $1.50 at the time per gallon. Okay. Man alive. Gotham City Jets, just some diehard Jets from the 70s. And hey, Gotham City, thank you so much for the subscription. I appreciate it so much. Tell your friends, share the channel. Guys, we just put out a hockey video. If you're a Rangers, Islanders, or Devils fan, I did just a little quick preview as training camps are opening. Check that video out as well. I'm always glad when Braden comes in. Man, I appreciate your confidence, man. Yeah, Harlan's saying howdy to Braden. Dude, how can we not be nervous? We live in denial here, man. I shake just thinking about this game, and it's still several days away because those games, it's personal. Jets Patriots. I think it's them and the Atlanta Braves. Those are the two franchises I abhor more than any other ones in all of sports. There's just just everything about them. See, there's a difference for me. Okay. There are organizations where I don't hate the organization. Like the New York Giants to me are a great example. I don't hate the Giants organization, but they got some fans who are annoying as hell. Okay. Some arrogant, snarky, big brother Giants fans. Those are the ones that annoy me. I don't have an issue with the Giants organization. But when it comes to the Patriots, it is everything. It is from Robert Kraft. By the way, the Kraft is not Kraft macaroni and cheese. It's paper. Okay, so don't be misled thinking it's freaking mac and cheese, okay? It ain't that Kraft. From him to Belichick to that stupid haircut his son has, to every player from Brady back in the day who cheated his way to all those championships, I'm just saying, to Matthew Slater, to Rob freaking Nikovich, who turned into Mike Singletary when he played the Jets, to Danny Woodhead, who they took away from us and turned him into a star, down to the equipment boys, down to the interns, to the fans. Every single person who associates with the Patriots, I can't stand them. I don't wish harm on them necessarily, but I can't freaking stand them. And I'll say it. It's personal, man. It's freaking personal. Love you, brother. Jim Pock, love Rangers hockey. Yeah, we'll be doing some Rangers content for sure. Yeah, definitely the hockey content's about to pick up a little bit. I'm doing so much football, man. I'm doing 5 days of football a week. With the baseball season's all but dead, I've had to move on from baseball, man. Jets 8:30. Good to see you, man. Hey, we're here every Wednesday night, 10 o'clock. I appreciate you stopping by. I don't know if you've participated in the chat before, man, but I'm really, really glad to see you here. I really, really am. I'm glad, Harlan, this is interesting. I'm glad Belichick decided not to coach the Jets. He's a cheater. Glad he didn't tarnish the Jets. Harlan, are you telling me right now you wouldn't take six Super Bowls just for allegations where the NFL destroyed a whole lot of evidence? I would love to have the problem of, man, which one of the Super Bowls was my favorite? Like we actually had a choice, right? It's a crazy, crazy thought. But yeah, instead of Belichick, we get Adam Gase, we get Todd Bowles, we get Al Groh. We get guys like that. Man alive, Eric Mangini. I mean, yeah, a little better, but not a whole heck of a lot better. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. It was just never a Mangini guy when it came to on-field coaching. So, hey, say whatever you want about Belichick. You could say he made Brady, Brady made Belichick. You could say whatever you choose. You could have whatever opinion you choose. But keep this in mind. Belichick's teams always play good fundamental. Hope I didn't freeze there for a minute. I think I saw the wheel go around. But Belichick's teams always play good fundamental football. They don't take penalties. They rarely, if ever, turn the ball over. They will make you beat them. They will not beat themselves. And even Devin McCourty today, he had an interview where it's just like, yeah, you just wait for the Jets to give you the game. Guys, with all due respect, I am tired of that shit. I'm tired of being the homecoming game for New England. I'm expecting that the minimum expectations, we got the Jets. Let's mark those as 2 wins every year. It's time for a change. And this is the opportunity to do it again on Sunday. You got it, Vervain. Hockey is definitely going to be a fun. And by the way, I want you to know I was very fair to the Devils, very objective in the video. I want you to know that. I promise I was. Hopefully the refs will give us a break after the admitted mistake. When was the last time the Jets got a break from the referees? I think that was so long ago. I think the games were on TV in black and white back then. They acknowledge that the John Franklin Myers roughing the passer penalty should not have been a penalty. That and a dime will get you 10 cents. But I don't think the NFL is into makeup calls. But the truth is we deserve a makeup call after last year, too, with that bogus JFM roughing the passer penalty when MC2 was taking the ball to the house right before halftime. Instead, they take the touchdown away, and the game went right downhill from there. Man. Let's see, Jets 830. What is your take on Sal having favorites? If this was Youth Football League, he'll be playing Daddy Ball. He'll be playing. Well, Jets 830, give me a little more detail as far as having favorites. Like, do you have a certain position in mind, a certain player in mind? Give me a little more detail exactly where our thoughts are on this one. I'm interested in what that really means. Yeah, it's time to stop the narrative of the same old Jets. It absolutely is. Yeah, this is a statement game. No, definitely a statement game. I said early on, I could take 3-3 going into the bye as long as 2 of the wins are against Buffalo and New England. And then if you win 1 of the next 3 against Kansas City, Denver, and Philadelphia, I can live with it. I can live with that. Go into the bye and then come out against the Giants, the Chargers, the Raiders, these teams, and let's see what happens. Braden, Jeremy Rucker, please, Salah. Yeah. At least Salah, he did acknowledge in the press conference that Rucker deserves more playing time. Let's see what he gets. They typically do release the snap counts pretty quickly after the game ends, usually within an hour, the beat writers do. And I'll be fascinated to see how they divide the labor amongst the tight ends. But again, I don't want to hate on CJ Uzomah like some other people are, but I never, ever need to see him again lining up as a wide receiver. Never, ever, ever. Now, as far as injuries go, going into this game, Greg Zuerlein and Tony Adams seem to be the only real concerns. We'll see. I think we'll see more on Friday about their statuses. Right now, MC2, Quincy Williams, Breece Hall are limited. I'll take that. So I'm all right with that. I mean, Austin Siebert, we didn't get to see a lot of him, but he did make both of his kicks, so that was certainly encouraging. Without Tony Adams, though, the coverage ability does take a little bit of a hit. So you'll probably see, I'm expecting a decent amount of Adrian Amos. And this is important because you got to remember, with New England, we're going to get into them in more depth pretty soon, but New England is not going to really beat you with their wide receivers. They like to work the middle of the field, especially with running backs and tight ends. So you need really good coverage from your safeties and linebackers. That's why players like Quincy Williams, Jamian Sherwood, they are going to be enormous in this game. Their coverage and their tackling angles, all that stuff, guys, it is so important that they do that if the Jets defense is going to be effective. Now, on the New England side, Marcus Jones, we remember him. He did not practice with a shoulder injury, and they had 7 guys limited. Now, we think the Jets' offensive line's got issues. Guys, the offensive line on New England, all limited today. Trent Brown, Mike Onwenu, Cole Strange, Sidey Sal. They got a lot of guys who are beating up on that offensive line. They're in a little bit of trouble. All right, going to get into that in one more. I want to see this comment here. I want to get into Garrett Wilson's comment, too, about the history of this team, too. And then we're going to start to get into the AFC East. I'm moving Dwayne Brown, C.J. Mosley, Randall Cobb, and Laken Tomlinson. Yeah, I think you make some fair points. Yeah, I mean, I don't know how much Cobb is really going to give you, especially with Aaron Rodgers not on the field right now. You know, to me, Cobb is almost a little bit more of an afterthought. I'd rather see Hardman in the game over Cobb. Yeah, that's how I feel. And again, Tomlinson is run blocking. I'm going to give him that at least. I'll give him that. But as far as the pass blocking, there we go. I think I just saw the wheel go around on the screen again. So hopefully we're not freezing up. But again, I'll give the offensive line one more week. That's it. After that, it's all systems go. Anything could happen. GVH, hey man, good to see you. Put the coaching hat on. Besides 3 and out, please. Oh, okay. I thought you were talking about my segment. Okay. How do you handle the Patriots hurry up like they had success with Miami? This hockey line changes will get us stuck with Thomas and company on the field. I think for one thing, the Patriots are going to use. I would really make sure I have my best coverage guys. I want to make sure I've got some speed on the field. Like Dallas, I'll give you a comparison. Dallas likes to use a lot of safeties. They like a lot of 3 safety formation. I could see. I really hope Tony Adams is ready to go. I could see some scenarios where the Jets have Adams, Whitehead, and Amos on the field at the same time, and maybe just the 2 linebackers. Because Sherwood's a good tackler, but he doesn't really have the speed that you necessarily want. So I think in this case, I could see some 3 safety alignments because you really have to make sure that you can tackle Ramondre Stevenson because he has caused the Jets a whole lot of problems. You need reliable tackling. And God dang it, I wish Chuck Clark was healthy because this would be a prime opportunity for Chuck Clark. It would have been great for Chuck Clark because he would have played that sort of hybrid role where he could watch a Ramondre Stevenson or a player like that and, make that effective tackle there. This is a spot I really think losing Clark has really, really hurt the Jets. Yeah, I know that's a loss that we don't think about much, but I think that really is a loss for us because I think he'd be super effective in this spot. I want to get to this Garrett Wilson quote, too, on his interview on ESPN Radio, talking about the Jets' history with New England. I'm going to read. This is a quote. It's time that things change around here. I don't like talking about it too much, but this is one of the first steps. 14 straight losses is unacceptable. That's unacceptable. I'm 0-2 against them. That's unacceptable. 3 times he said. I walked into a team that hasn't beaten the Patriots. I feel like that's why they brought me and Sauce here and the guys here to make things like that change. The last sentence, I want to take this in. It's time we do what we get paid for. He knows what the mission is. Aren't you thrilled Garrett Wilson is a New York Jet? Thank God they drafted. I want to thank the Atlanta Falcons right now for drafting Drake London over Garrett Wilson. God bless the Atlanta Falcons for doing that. Garrett is like everything that you could want. The player, the individual, the mindset, it's all there, man. And he knows what the mission is. He knows what's going on. He's not shying away from the history. He embraces the challenge. And I'm willing to bet his teammates are feeling the same way. And I hope Robert Saleh is preaching the same thing in the meetings this week. Because, he will talk about the division. He talks about the history and what the obstacles are to overcome. And this week, that's what it has to be all about. All about that. You want to be real? You want to change the narrative about this team? You want to change the perception about the New York Jets after getting your butt proverbially spanked for 3 hours on national TV? Go out there and kick the crap out of this team that has just abused you for the last 23 years, 24 years. Go out and do it. Now, let's talk a little bit about New England here. I'm going to get to 3 AFC East teams. And, of course, I'll still be watching the comments. Then we'll get to the trivia in a little bit. All right? So, with New England, as we know, they're 0-2, coming off a 24-17 loss to Miami. This is the first time that they are 0-2 since 2001. And that season ended with their first Super Bowl where the refs, of course, got them there. And then they had to spy on the St. Louis Rams in order to win it. Now, in all fairness, Both of these losses have been to very good teams. Both games have been tight, but they've both been in Foxborough. Now, here's the thing with this offense, and I alluded to this a little bit ago. If you look at the New England wide receivers with Devontae Parker, Kendrick Bourne, who's been their most targeted wide receiver of all people, they have just 4.8 yards per target. That's 31st in the NFL. But if you look at the running backs and the tight ends, they are averaging 7 yards per target. That's the 8th most in the NFL. So this is not going to be about Sauce and DJ as much. This is going to be about the linebackers, the safeties, okay? That is what it's going to be all about. Now, Mac Jones, we'd like to make fun of him. You know, the great Frankie from Flatbush, if he's out there, I hope he's doing great. You know, he would call him Macaroni Jones. You know, I would give him the credit for that. But in 4 career games against the Jets, Mac Jones is 27 out of 28 on screen passes, okay? 27 for 28 on screens for 196 yards. That's 7 yards per attempt, 7 first downs, and 1 touchdown. Because the Jets love to do that pass rush with 4 players, it leaves them a little bit susceptible to the screen pass, and it has chewed them up. And that is what I'm afraid we're going to see on Sunday. And the biggest threat in that respect is Ramondre Stevenson. The last time the Jets and Patriots played, okay, Stevenson forced 5 missed tackles by the Jets. That has got to change. So this year, Hunter Henry at tight end and Kendrick Bourne at wide receiver have been the primary targets. You know, I expect Henry to get targeted. Mike Gesicki is now their number 2 tight end. He's been getting some action. I would expect the Patriots to definitely be playing some double tight end and try to set up some screen passes. And Jeff Ulbrich has to figure out a way to counter that. He absolutely has to. But with the way that the offensive line with the Patriots has been struggling, send your best 4. You have to play the 7 back in coverage. This is not a time when I want to see the Jets blitzing. You have to play the back 7 in coverage. You cannot let them beat you with these short passes, and then they get all the yards after the catch. I cannot bear to watch that again and again and again. Death by 1,000 paper cuts. That's what it's like watching it. It really, really is. Just a reminder, guys, by the way, please hit the like button if you haven't yet. Definitely those thumbs up. It definitely helps our channel, helps the show. Thank you. Now, pardon me. Now, with this Patriots offensive line, I alluded to the fact that they got some guys beat up on that line. Here's the thing. The Miami run defense really dominated the New England running attack. Mac Jones also took 4 sacks. Ezekiel Elliott did nothing in that game. And you know what? I'm actually hearing? I've been listening to a couple of Patriots podcasts this week. I like to listen to what the other teams' guys are talking about. They're insiders, right? You know who that they are wishing was getting more involved in the Patriots offense of all people? Ty Montgomery. Yes, that Ty Montgomery, who is a Jet for like 1 season. The Patriot fans are actually thinking Ty Montgomery would represent a major upgrade for the New England Patriots offense. Okay? So apparently that's the answer to their offensive woes. I will say this, with their secondary, I do wonder how they're going to play Garrett Wilson. Because one thing we know over the years about Bill Belichick, what he will do first is do everything he can to take away your best offensive weapon. Now, here's the question. Will it be Breece Hall or will it be Garrett Wilson? And I think with Garrett, I wonder if he's going to use the rookie Christian Gonzalez on him. Because I can tell you this, Tyreek Hill, he was praising Gonzalez after that week 2 matchup. He really thinks Gonzalez is going to be a player in this league, and I wonder if Gonzalez is going to get that opportunity to sort of shadow Garrett Wilson on Sunday at MetLife Stadium. It's going to be really, really interesting to see how they defend number 17. GBH, you're a fan? I think so. And follow the stars like I've seen you do. You got to believe professional coaches to know the same thing about screen success. If not, people should be run over the coals. Absolutely, man. But you know something? I remember in Robert Saleh's first year, he basically acknowledged the one real weakness of this defense is it can be prone to this giving up screen passes and those short gains because it's all about the pressure with the front 4. To me, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense because the Jets don't blitz really. The Jets blitz as little as any other team in the NFL. Okay, last year they were last in blitz percentage among all NFL teams. So when you're doing that and you have the 7 back in coverage, shouldn't you be more adept at being able to, snuff out these screens and have defenders in place? So to me, they have to be able to handle this. Now, I thought they did pretty well handling like Tony Pollard out of the backfield, but they had like these other guys like Turbin making catches out of the backfield that they weren't ready for. I mean, I really thought they did a very poor job at handling running backs. It's like they were playing back, letting them get the short gains with like no coverage. I did not like the play calling offense or defense in this game this past Sunday by any stretch. Hank G, they're going to stack the box and keep blitzing. Work so far, they'll keep doing it until proven otherwise. Yeah, pretty much. I would do the same thing. I would do the same thing if I'm going against the Jet offense. Yeah, for sure. So with let's talk about the other teams for a moment too. With Miami, they are now 2-0. They face Denver. They're at Denver Sunday at 1:00. Tua Tagovailoa leads the NFL in passing yards with 715, yards per attempt with 9.5, 38 passing first downs, and ranks third in quarterback rating with a 79. Now, here's the thing with Miami that's been pretty impressive. Tua has faced 23 blitzes. That's the sixth most in the league through 2 weeks. But Tua has been hit only 6 times, and he's been sacked once. And that's without Terron Armstead on that offensive line. As much as we don't want to do it, we got to give credit to the Miami offensive line because they're doing their freaking job. And that's exactly what the Jets aren't doing. Okay. And the other thing with Tua, he gets the ball out fast, faster than any other quarterback in the NFL, taking an average of 2.35 seconds to attempt to pass. That's like a full second less than Zach Wilson. When you have a quarterback who can just get the ball and get it right out of there, that's going to make the offensive line look a little bit better. It really is. And Tua has the ability to do that. Zach so far, like when Zach starts to drop his hand because he like brings the ball down before he like brings up, it's like 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi. You may as well be counting 5 Mississippis before Zach attempts to freaking pass. You may as well. That is just what's so frustrating. And also the Miami defense took a big step forward. They gave up in week 1 to the Chargers. They gave up 233 yards on the ground. But with the New England running attack, they held that New England running attack to 25 carries, 88 yards. And they made the plays they needed to make. Also, their defense pressured Mac Jones for 4 sacks. They forced 2 turnovers in the process. So Miami had a very, very impressive game against New England. And let's see what they do in the Mile High City. And as far as the Buffalo Bills go, well, they did what I think most of us thought they would do, beating the Raiders down 38-10. Josh Allen put together touchdown drives of 11 and then 15 plays, spread the ball around to 9 pass catchers, wasn't looking only for Stephon Diggs. And, Josh Allen wasn't trying to play hero ball. He decreased his average air yards per attempt from 7.4 against the Jets in week 1 to just 3.9 in week 2 against the Raiders. By the way, Josh Allen completed his first 13 pass attempts of the game. I wonder what other game that happened into on Sunday also. I can't imagine who else did that. Anyway, the run game came up very big too. The Bills, after having only 97 yards on the ground against the Jets, they racked up 183 rushing yards against the Raiders, went 7 for 13 on third down. The one negative stat really with the Bills, and this is surprising, they have the second worst defense when it comes to yards per rush attempt allowed. Second worst in yards per rush allowed for the Bills. Pretty surprising. Let's see if that remains the same. They're going to be traveling to Washington Sunday at 1. Man, if the Jets weren't playing at the same time, shoot, I'd take the train up. I'd go to D.C. I'd watch that game. I'd go there. The 2-0 Commanders / Redskins / whatever you want to call them against Buffalo, I would go up there and watch that game myself. But, I got to watch Jets Patriots. It is what it is. So those are our thoughts on the AFC East. Now, I'll tell you what we're going to do. It is 11 o'clock right now, almost, I believe. Yeah. All right. And, hey, if you still have more questions, if you have more comments, feel free to put them down there in the chat. But, yep, it is. Let's see. I think I got to load this up here. There we go. All right, guys. It is 11 o'clock, and I think it's time to do a little bit of New York Jets trivia. Okay, guys, so here is tonight's trivia question. Now, again, the rules. You got 5 minutes. I'm asking you a Jets trivia question, and put your answers right down there in the comments, and let's see if you can get the question in the 5-minute time frame. All right. So here is your question. The largest win the Jets have ever had over the Patriots was a 42-7 win in 1990. In that game, the Jets used 3 quarterbacks. Can you name all 3 of those quarterbacks? All right, so I'm going to pull the comments up here, and we will respond. Let's see. Come on, there we go. All right, is it? He wants to know: is it Art Donovan? Yeah, the Peanut Gallery is going to respond to you, David. I appreciate the creativity. Yes. Let's see. Trivia time, Jets mess. No, I can't. Yeah, this is a little bit of a challenging question. This is a little challenging. Yeah, I'll admit it. Hank G says Beck. It's not. I'm not sure who Beck even refers to. I got to be honest with you. This is going to be kind of a little bit of a ridiculous clue, but I'll give it to you anyway. All 3 of these guys played high school football in Sacramento, California. So they're all California guys. Vervain, this one's going to be tough. This was a year before I was born. Yeah, I would have been 9 years old at the time, as a matter of fact. I will say this. One, you all know is a Jets quarterback. Another one, I'll give you this hint. One of them is more known as a Patriots quarterback than a Jets quarterback. And the third guy, this one's a little bit more obscure, in all fairness. Jets miss is Ken O'Brien. And that is a correct answer. Yes, so Ken O'Brien started the game for the Jets, and then these other 2 guys came in for garbage time. All right, we got about almost 2 minutes down. All right, so Ken O'Brien's one. Now, another one of these guys, as I said, was a Patriots quarterback primarily before he was a Jet quarterback. Flouty Ryan. Do you mean Doug Flutie? No, not Pat Ryan. No, not those guys. I do have to say, in all fairness, keep in mind when I initially did this, I expected to do this on a Thursday show, where, I'll be fair, we usually had a little bit of a pretty good sized audience. So I made the questions a little bit harder at the time than I normally would have for this group. But yeah, we got about a dozen or so people in the chat. So let's see what you have. Jets mess says Eason. Tony Eason he's referring to. Is that a correct answer? It sure is. Tony Eason, who quarterbacked the Patriots when they got their butts kicked by the 85 Bears. Tony Eason was a Jet, and he did play in that game. Yeah, Tony Eason. Braden providing the echo here. Yeah, Tony Eason was one. And there was one other guy who I believe is actually now a coach in Sacramento. I think at the Sacramento State. I believe he's coaching out there now. This guy is not as well known. If you get this one's going to be a little bit more challenging. Got about 1 minute 45 seconds left. Yeah, but you got the two ones that are a little bit that I thought were gettable. So good job there. Jets mess. Lee Cravat. I hope Lee's good. I hope Lee's doing well. I hope he's got some good hot sauce tonight. I hope he's having a good evening wherever he is and whatever he's doing. Yeah. And just a reminder, guys, remember, I'll be releasing my confidence picks Thursday night. Friday will be the game preview. We'll release that. Saturday, we'll do our 5 bold predictions for the game. And then later that night, Sunday night, we'll do the video with the 3 key plays you may not recall that affected the outcome of the game. And I can promise you, if the Jets lose, I will be doing a lot of yelling. All right, 1 minute left. So we've got, with the trivia question, we've got Tony Eason. We've got Kenny O'Brien. I want to see if I can narrow this down for you a little bit. I did mention that he went to school in Sacramento, California. I think he went to Sacramento State, but I'm going to check on that. I will say this. He is currently a head coach for a major college football team. I will say that. But he is a California guy. Played for the Jets and he played for the Dolphins. Those were his 2 NFL teams he played for, and he is currently a coach for a major college football team. Jets Mess with the first super chat of the night, the $5. Great show. Thank you, man. I really try to make them as good as I can for you guys. I really, really do. I appreciate your support, whether it's with words, whether it's with your donations, whether it's your shares, your thumbs up, man, all the support. It means everything. Thank you. All right. Looks like the time did run out. Okay. Jets Mess says Deion Sanders. That would have been fun if Deion Sanders was playing quarterback for the Jets, wouldn't it? That would have been pretty good. All right. This guy was the head coach of Ohio State for a couple of years. He is now the head coach for the Stanford Cardinals. I don't know how many people will know the name. I'll give you a moment. He's the current head coach of Stanford. If you want to look it up, I mean, at this point, feel free to. But yeah, he was actually a 3-time Big Sky Coach of the Year, Big Sky Conference Coach of the Year. And let's see. Yeah. And this guy was drafted in the 4th round, 1990 by the New York Jets. And in his career, he played in 7 games and threw 2 touchdowns. And now he's the head coach of the Stanford Cardinals. The correct answer is Troy Taylor. Troy Taylor, now the coach of the Stanford Cardinals. So Taylor played quarterback for the Jets along with Ken O'Brien and Tony Eason. So those were the guys. Yep. Remain something Taylor. Yep, I just kind of gave it away to you. K Yeti always shows up around 11 o'clock. Yeti, is this? Yes, you have a major commitment going on between 10 and 11. It's okay. Let's minimize the trivia a little bit. And well, we took it out. Yeah, there we go. That's a little bit smaller. So, yeah, was fiending for logical content. Did I hop in the middle of trivia session? You did, my friend. Yeah. This time we're able to start it right on time at 11 p.m. Yep. So, we did. I got through my content and got through the chat's comments. So 11 o'clock, we just jumped right into trivia. Yeah, Jets Miss. I hadn't heard of him either, but he is the head coach at Stanford, and he's built up a pretty good career for himself. So, yeah, Troy Taylor. I didn't know the guy either. Bad time for the boy. Okay, that is a very fair reason. Yeah, but I've got a pretty big preview video. I got a whole lot of things to talk about with the Jets Patriots that we'll be releasing on Friday. Some of the notes I've already given you tonight, but I've got a few more things I want to talk about. I will be interested to see what happens with the Patriots secondary and their offensive line, because both of those position groups they're a little bit beat up right now. So yeah, let's see what information winds up coming out, and we'll go from there. Didn't you love the Belichick? They asked about Zach Wilson. He's an athletic quarterback. I'm sorry, I got to do it like Belichick. Hang on. Wilson, he's an athletic quarterback. So, yeah, there we go. That was a little bit more Belichick-like, wasn't it? Ravane, that was a great question. Didn't know he was a quarterback for the Jets. Yeah, man, I didn't either. That's part of the fun of doing the research for these questions. I get to learn stuff myself. Yeah, I have a lot of fun doing it. Yeah, for sure. But yeah, so I mean, I'm not sure what else there is for me to say. I mean, other than this game is still 4 days away, and with each day, I get a little bit more anxious for it. Because like I said, I'm going to be back in New England in about 8 days, and I cannot bear the thought of stepping into that part of the United States coming off 15 straight losses to their team. The Jets, if I had to summarize it this way, the Jets to me are definitely the more talented team when you factor in all the players. I don't care if Zach Wilson's quarterback at this point. I really think the Jets are the more talented team when you look at the entire roster. My biggest thing is, can the Jets execute? Because we know the Patriots are probably going to play good fundamental football. You know, the Jets are going to have to force Mac Jones into mistakes and into turnovers and things like that. They're going to have to make this offensive line hold them, to prevent them from getting to Mac Jones. What the Jets cannot do is make big plays and then nullify it with a stupid penalty. If the ball comes loose, you have to jump on it. Great teams take advantage of the opportunities that they get. And that might only be 1 or 2 per game, like Sauce with the pick 6. Great cornerbacks. I'm sorry, love the talent, but he has to get to the point where he catches that ball. Even if he doesn't return it for the touchdown, he has to get to the point where he makes that catch, turns the other team over, because God knows how that game would have played out if he makes that interception. Who knows what would have happened? So with MetLife Stadium, it's gonna be a whole lot of Jets fans. Usually the Patriots fans take over a good portion of that stadium, and the prices in the stadium are dropping. Like, I'm hearing there's tickets available now for under $100 to get in there. I'm going to be sick if I see like a sea of red and navy in MetLife Stadium again. I really, really hope the Jets fans show up and support this team and support this quarterback, because we know they'll come out loud, but they will be this quick to turn on the team as soon as something goes wrong. And that worries me, because I know my fellow Jets fans want to cheer their heads off until they have no voice left. But I just hope the first sign where something doesn't go right, whether it's a penalty, whether it's a turnover, whether it's a drop pass, whatever it is, I really hope that they will stay loud and stay supportive. I really hope we're going to see that on Sunday. I really hope we see the best of the Jets fans and the loyalty of a New York fan, because that's what we are, because we don't get the most championships. We don't get the most glory. We typically don't get the greatest players in the world, but we are loyal and we are as mentally tough as any city out there, in my opinion. And if you don't have mental toughness, if you don't have loyalty, then you ain't no New York Jets fan. That's the simple way to say it. Matthew Smith, hey man, good to see you. Hopefully the refs don't make another mistake. It almost, one thing I realized in baseball, the umpires, there's like a thing called like umpire bot or umpire scores, where they evaluate umpires, how many mistakes they made. Angel Hernandez constantly grades out as the worst umpire in the league, which he is. Why don't we have that same thing for the NFL? Are these referees held accountable? Are these lines judges held accountable? Are these umpires held accountable? What is that process? I think we as fans have a right to know. If these refs can't do the job properly, then send them back to like freaking training school or do whatever they have to do so that they're doing their jobs properly. You can give me all the replay in the world, but when it comes to a penalty like that, you can't overturn it, because some things are unchangeable. You can't overturn them. And with the JFM play, that's just one example of it. It stinks. It really, really stinks. I know the NFL needs replay, but there's still a whole lot. Yeah, it could definitely be fine-tuned for sure. For sure. And Vervain, a win over the Pats would help get rid of the bad taste from the Cowboys game. So sick of losing to Emperor Palpatine. It would eliminate the taste for me. I mean, if the low game of the season is losing in Dallas to that team, I mean, I can live with that. That better be the low point of the season. That better be the worst game they play. And again, guys, I didn't have a whole lot of confidence they were ever winning that game. Coming off the emotional win, coming off a short week, going on the road to play a great team that is as good as pressuring the quarterback as anybody else, I just felt that game was a recipe for disaster for the offense. What I just don't have a lot of patience for is the way the defense played. But you know what? Now they know what they have to do. They got a reality check. They were talking about what the level that they could get to the 85 Bears, to the Legion of Boom, and all of that kind of stuff. Well, they learned it's going to take their best effort week in and week out to be a great defense. They got a little bit of a reality check. And you know what? The Patriots have an offense that is very beatable, very simple. Sauce Gardner described them as an ordinary, simple offense. Sauce said that today. Okay? They don't do a lot of fancy stuff, but what they do well. What they do efficiently, and they do effectively. So let's see them take that simple offense and just rip the heart out of it. Let's see them shut it down. Let's see this great defense beat this offense into submission, the way our offense has been beaten down by the New England defenses for the better part of 2.5 decades. Let's see that. Let's be the bully. Let's be the jerks. Let's be the bad guys. Let's be the ass kissers. And as much as I hate the word, let's be the bullies. Let's do it. Because the New York Jets are capable of doing that to Mac Jones, to Ramon. When the biggest wide receiver you have to be nervous about is freaking Juju Smith-Schuster, I'm not afraid of an offense. I'm not. But have a plan for these tight ends. Have a plan for Ramondre Stevenson. Execute your tackles and get in Mac Jones' face and prove that last week was an absolute fluke. Jermaine Johnson, show up. Carl Lawson, show up. Because you sure as hell didn't last week. Quentin Jefferson, Al Woods, you guys especially, I'm calling you out. Show us how good you are and kick the ass of the New England Patriots. Okay, Eddie, just keep faith. This is definitely not the season we wanted, but keep faith. 15 games to go. Bitch in the offseason. Support the boys. Go Jets. Hey, we're just evaluating what we're seeing. We're just looking at what we're seeing and we're responding to it. You know, we're going to point out the negatives when things are bad, and we're going to point out the positives when things are great. I will never be anything if not fair. I will always be as fair as I can. Now, right after the game, yeah, my emotions are going to run very, very high, as I'm sure they do for you all too. But we'll point out what's working well. We'll point out what's not working well. But there wasn't a whole lot to talk about on Sunday that worked well. Outside of the fake punt, Austin Siebert's kicking, the one pass to Garrett Wilson, not a whole heck of a lot else to talk about that went well. There really wasn't a whole lot. Hey, G, if we make it to the bye 3-3, I'll be elated. Like I said, I agree. Just make sure one of those wins is against New England. But if they went to Kansas City, lost to Philadelphia, beat Denver, went to the bye week without any more major injuries, and came back ready to take on the Giants, yes, I will take it. I will take it. You know, my hope at this point, playoffs. Break the playoff drought. If Robert Saleh, I'll say this, if Robert Saleh gets this team into the playoffs after losing Zach Wilson, he should be the coach of the year. He should be. That's how I feel. Vervain, we need to contain Hunter Henry. Henry's been targeted a lot. Henry's been, I'm going to, 1 second here. I think I pulled something up here about his targets. Don't forget Gesicki too, you know, because Mike Gesicki was a pretty dang good player for the Dolphins as well. Now, he hasn't been getting used as much, but they got a good 1-2 punch as far as that goes. But yeah, Hunter Henry, where is he? He has 2 touchdowns. Yeah, so 2 touchdowns, 11 catches on 13 targets for 108 yards. So they've thrown the ball to him on average 5.5 times a game, or actually 6.5 times a game. And when they throw the ball his way, he typically catches it. Okay, and Henry to me did not have a great year last season, but this year they're using him quite a bit more frequently. So yeah, definitely contain Hunter Henry. Also Gesicki. Not that they're going to use him consistently, but they'll use him at certain times, and watch out for that. I mean, their starting wide receivers are going to be Juju and Kendrick Bourne. I mean, you know, maybe Devontae Parker, but those will be their 3. You know, with our stable of cornerbacks, I got every confidence that that's going to work out in Jets' favor. It's really, again, it's about the linebackers and the safeties reading the plays, recognizing the plays, tackling effectively. So let's see if they go with more of a your 4-3, or maybe more of a 4-2-5. You know, with the extra safety on the field. I want to see how the Jets utilize that defensive personnel. If they want the third linebacker, or if they want the third safety. It's going to be very interesting how they play that. Okay. Oh, another note, guys. You know I like my special teams, right? Brandon Schooler. Watch out for this guy. Oh, my. Brendan Schooler, number 41, who blocked the field goal against the Dolphins. So Schooler, if y'all didn't see this play, I'm sure most of you did, but he's basically lined up on the sideline. He starts working his way in, running like parallel to the line of scrimmage, and literally as the ball gets snapped, he crosses the line, dives, and blocks the kick. He got, let's see, so he was running 12.7 miles per hour when the ball was snapped, and when when the kick was blocked, he hit over 13 miles an hour. The guy's a weapon. So when the Jets are kicking or punting, watch out for number 41, who's got like the little thing of blonde hair, like the rat tails sort of look, Brendan Schooler. That's a guy who could like wreck a game on special teams. Okay, so watch out for number 41. So those are just a couple of other notes about the game. Well, guys, I'll tell you what. It's 11:20 right now. I think I'm going to shut this one down. Got to be up pretty early in the morning. Got to get a couple things done. Got a 6-mile run. Probably 5-mile run. Got a 5-mile run in the morning because I got a big race the following weekend in Boston that I'll be running. So want to make sure I'm up and ready to go early as I can be. So I'll tell you what, I will see you all next Wednesday night at 10 o'clock, hopefully celebrating a Jets victory and looking ahead to the Kansas City Chiefs. But remember, I'll be releasing content all over the next couple of days. We just released a little preview video on the Rangers, Islanders, and Devils. Just a little quick thing. The one question I would have about each one of those teams as training camp begins. So if you're into hockey, check it out. We just posted it. But everybody, thank you so much for joining me tonight. And I'll see you right back here with more content from you know where. The Wicker Chair. Have a great night, everybody.